Hello everyone, this is Mbarak Alamjiri. I'm taking HAP709 with Professor Abramovic at George Mason University. I'll be talking today about stored procedure and nested query in Teach 1. The outline here, as you can see, why do we use procedure in SQL and nested SQL as well, and we will be talking about syntaxes and some examples. So why do we use procedures in SQL? First, let's us define what is stored procedure. Stored procedures provide improved performance because fewer calls need to be sent to the database. For example, if a stored procedures has four SQL statements in the code, then there are only needs to be a single call to the database instead of 4 calls for each individual SQL statement and must be executed. And the benefits of using stored procedure in SQL Server rather than the application code stored locally on client computers include: first, they allow modular programming and they allow faster execution, so they can reduce the network traffic. As you can see, the procedure syntax consists of create procedures and delete procedures. Here we are going to talk about the structure of stored procedures. Declarative, it's a part of the stored procedure where you prepare input and output variables, and you may skip this part if the procedure does not require any variables. Second, the executable, and this part is where the actual actions, for example, CRUD operations. CRUD operations, for example, create and delete, and these examples of these four operations. Exceptions, this part is where you handle any failures or errors if needed. Let's have an example of stored procedure syntax in SQL. Here, as you can see in this example, we are creating a stored procedure to calculate the average age of patients that has a given ICD diagnosis. In the declaration part, we are declaring a varchar variable to hold the diagnosis input. Then in the execution part, we are using the given variable in where clause along with the average function in the select clause to have a proper calculation to get a better results here. And let's move to the next slides where you can see how to execute a procedure. To execute or drop existing procedure, you can use drop for deleting procedures, and to make any changes to an existing procedure, we can use the command alter procedure command instead of create. So we are done with the stored procedure. As you can see here, we used a drop procedure and the command completely succeed. So what is a nested query? A nested query is a query that contains an inner or a subquery within another query. The inner query can be embedded in the from, select, where, or having clause, and the between operator cannot be used with a subquery, meaning the subquery can be embedded within the outer query in one of four locations: select, from, where, or having. The between operator cannot be used with a subquery. Let's have an example to make this clear. Before having an example, the purpose of nested query, it generates a more compact SQL statements. Nested query does not always give a better performance than using temp tables. And the syntax, as you can see here, start of outside code, and we will be having inner code, select from where or having close, and end of outside code. So the example of a query without nesting, as you can see here. In this example, we are tasked to find claims for patients having a date of entry between April 26th and May 26th of 1996. In order to do this, in two steps, first we have to find all patients' IDs for those who have a DOE within the given range and store the result in a temp table, inner table. Then in the next step, we join the inner table with the claims table to filter out patients outside of the given range. And here in the next slide is an example of the nested query. So alternatively, we can write a nested query to do the same task, having the inner query returning the patient's ID to the outer query where close, as you can see. This eliminates the needs for the temp table and therefore producing a more readable and compact statement. And you should note that the nested query results in a less overhead in terms of writing less codes and using less storage, but it doesn't always produce a faster query. And thank you for watching.